Guten Tag, my fellow war crimers. I usually don't make videos, but I want to share something with you, and I think the most easy way to do so is to just record it. And yeah, I'm like to make meme builds. That's pretty much my whole endgame in Warframe. And yeah, ever since the Helminth-System existed, I always tried or wanted to make Banshee some sort of an ability damage dealer. Because of her second ability. I always had the feeling it has a lot of potential and is, if we are honest, her only ability that really works. And that's Sonar. And what it does, you cast it and it makes it projects a weak spot on the enemy, and if you hit it with a gun or a projectile, it deals a multiplicative damage amount. You can see it down there. It's currently at 12.9. The problem was I never really could find an ability in the Helminth-System or from another Warframe that's really synergize with it, and I pretty much waited for every new Warframe that came out so I could subsume their ability onto her in hopes it somewhat works with Sonar, but it never quite did it. Not even the base abilities of Banshee really synergize or work with the weak spots for some reason. So yeah, I was on the lookout for years, and I found some that works a little bit like the thermal thunder or the flames from Temple, but they are either too expensive or they are too don't really interact with the weak spots. So I just kept waiting, and I have to admit the answer was always there at day one. And believe it or not, it's Nullstar. But this only works with the Augment Neutron Star, which basically give it an additional heat damage on top. It makes an 80-meter radius explosion. Yes, it's close to a Ochre's blast, you could say. And if you recast it, the remaining particles, seeking out the enemy, so it's auto-targeting, which is pretty nice. So what we want here is a lot of range and a lot of strength, if you can put it, and duration as much as you can fit. Because I think range and strength is pretty self-explanatory. Duration is the stat that increases the antimatter particles, so the more you have, the more you can hit the enemies with it. So if you find any mod slot where you can fit it in, then yeah, feel free to do so. In my opinion, you probably could exchange for my build Umbral Intensify for some more duration, or maybe you go for Nexus Energy, so your energy regeneration is higher, because we run on a negative efficiency. So to tackle this problem, I run with energy regeneration from multiple sources, like a little bit from the aura and mainly by the weapons. As augments, I choose the mold augmented for more strength, so we reach over 300, and arcane concentration, so we get more particles. And of course you need the second augment resonance. This is the Sonar augment, which does when you kill an enemy by weak spot, the sonar will trigger again around the enemy you killed, and yeah, it makes it cheaper. And the second effect, which is not anywhere written down, is when the sonar triggers again by killing an enemy, it overlays on top of another weak spots, which means you can double it. So you don't have in the end like this 12.9, but you have like roundabout 25 and 25 plus damage multiplier. So you can get crazy numbers when they layer on top each other, and that can go up to level cap, but mostly they die before that happened. So, to tackle the energy problem, I choose the Scourge and the Grimoire, the spellbook. It's kind of a trend of mine to give all my caster warframes some sort of wizard equipment like a staff and a spellbook. But it has a reason. Like the unique trait is when you throw it, it makes a 40-meter impact, and every enemy hit gets like an larger headshot area. So that's nice maybe for your companion that uses a gun maybe, or a sentinel weapon. But mainly I use it for this augment, primary accelerate, because when you throw the staff, it forces an impact status proc, and you basically get all 3 stacks at once. The build is not that important. I think you could focus on fire rate and reload speed, so you can throw it fast and you get it back faster, and can throw it faster when the reload is higher. Same logic applies on the spellbook. It shoots an energy ball in front of you, and everything that ball hits triggers their how do I call it, augments. Xatu invocation, for example, will generate 10 energy per second if you manage to hit 10 enemies. Then this buff will hold for 20 seconds, so that's a quite nice and high regeneration. And this one has a 12% chance to drop an universal orb if you kill an enemy with it. And it's pretty much enough. I usually don't have that kind of energy problems. It's always at max. For the melee, you can choose whatever you like. I went with the Furax because it's my favorite, and also because of the amalgam. Furax body count, you get a 45 fire rate on top. Here I choose Melee Kareen because it's somewhat an panic button. You can freeze the... I think you know what it is. You roll and all enemies in a 5.5 meter radius will freeze. So nice CC. And for my carrier, or for my sentinel, I choose Descu because of the energy generator mod. I built it like this so I could utilize in other Warframe builds Equilibrium, because it will generate health orbs as well. As a gun, I use the Sweeper Prime. It's a shotgun, so shotgun has a higher chance to hit the weak spots, so this can actually do a lot of damage. The base damage isn't that high, but you have to imagine that the Sonar will compensate for that. It will multiply it by 12 or 15 or whatever you can fit on strength in your build. So that's the overall setup. Now I show you how it looks in action. Not here. I go mostly to Garby you can, but you can choose whatever you like. Funny enough, the build with the Sentinel was my primary source at first as a damage source, because I thought I could maybe make a companion build only, and they trigger the Sonar weak spots for me, but it was inconsistent, so I always was on the lookout for an ability that would support the damage dealing qualities. So we want to cast Synerg, of course, to generate energy, throw the star, and generation. Here you can see it's already on the first row on max stacks. And then you're pretty much ready to go. You cast your Nullstar, and in the best case they hit the weak spots and let's say soft nuke the enemy. It's not an over nuke, but it does a fair amount of damage at least. It's not meta, I would claim, but it's fun to use, and I would claim the KPM is also fairly high. The last time I checked, it always was around 120 or something. When you hear this whoosh sound like you heard before, this means your resonance augment was triggered.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
And thanks to the acceleration mod, you can see I don't have 18, but I have 25 of these particles. But of course, if you don't need so much, you of course can exchange it for any augment you like. It has also a pretty far range, and it makes it a pretty lazy build, because you don't have to aim yourself. The ability just seeks out the enemy itself. Here, 341 in almost 3 minutes. But also, kill count also depends on the map, how close the spawn areas are, how long they have to walk to you. That can make the difference of like 120 to 250 kpm. Could be better, but I think you can see the logic behind my build. You cast 2 and you cast Nullstar, and when there's an Eximus you also can cast Silence. Also nice quality of life ability. Another thing I found out about Sonar is that it works well with projectiles and with the blast status. This has also a good chance to trigger the the resonance augment. So let's see how we do against the stalker. My sentinel killed itself. Yeah, if it takes so long, you also can use your trusty melee. I'm not fully sure if resonance really, or the sonar really works on stalkers. 632 in like 5 minutes.
Our operative is making progress. This will help our cause.
It should be something over a few hundred. Not a few, over 100 kills per minute. That's fairly enough. And I find out that when you manage to kill more than 100 enemies in the minute, you don't need an egress, for example, in a survival and can sustain the life support yourself. Just by collecting the life support item things. But okay, I think it should suffice as example. And then I like to show you the other Warframe, where it also works quite nicely. So the other Warframe where it actually also works is, where is he? There. And I choose Chroma, not just because he is also one candidate for an rework, but because of the synergy of Nullstar and Vex Armor, because Nullstar counts not just as ability but also as a weapon, which means the damage increase from the Vex Armor buffs also Nullstar. And alongside the weapon swap damage buff, I'm not sure how to phrase it. I think there's also another vigorous swap. This would also count for Nullstar. But I rather want range for this one. So here my build is also pretty packed and I'm not sure what to change anymore. Here I run a full Umbral set because Chroma has the properties for it. So we get a nice high strength multiplier. Duration is also sadly only 155, could be more. And range is only 145, but I think it's okay like it is. It always could be more, but yeah. We only have so many mod slots. This is also not necessarily the Tau Forge to pass shards. You can maybe use those wet shards for duration or maybe more strength. This or pre-installed for another build, but they synergize pretty well with Nullstar because they raise my HP by blast kills or something, and Nullstar has natural blast damage installed. I almost forgot, if you choose the green energy color you get the toxin buff, and this has also an how to phrase it, it has it also has holster damage, so if you swap your weapon you get like 110 more damage for your Nullstar, which means you need constantly to change your gun. But this also counts for melee attacks. That's also a holster, so you basically could shoot with the primary and press the melee button and switch between those two. And I choose Phalanx because it's not just strong, but it has in its evolution 3 the magazine reload when holstered. So when you tap E, you basically at max ammo again. And here I choose the Vasti lock just for style. There are other more powerful gunblades, but yeah, this one is at least quite fast, and I run it mostly for the drip. So I show you this in action as well, and I would claim it even performs better than Banshee. Because it doesn't rely on weak spots, but rather on the permanent damage increase.
Distract the infested while a lone Tenno operative hunts for supplies. Set off the alarms to start. The infested are releasing toxic spores
So
into
I
the
think
area.
I need to
The emergency
use
life
energy
support
at
I am
first to
delivering is your only
activate
chance for
the
survival.
process. So here I have the Madurai School, so I can snapshot the strength buff from that. And later on, when you activate the ulti, you get another 50%, so you have a flat 90, which is nice. And you can snapshot that on your Vex armor. And that's pretty much the gameplay. You fire left click and press E for leading. Switch all the time. Let's see. That's from my Aura, the holster amp, and this is Elemental Ward, the 124% weapon swap damage, which goes directly into my guns and my Nullstar. But at first I need to ramp up my Vex armor to the maximum. So it actually does something.
Life support incoming. A life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
I'm close to 3000 HP, then I get the max amount of strength buff from the Augment when it cools. I think that's how you phrase it maybe. And my mold augmented is also full already. When I get my focus up to maximum, I can refresh my Vex armor.
Additional life support has arrived.
So, where is my focus button? Okay. So now can we refresh the whole thing? I hope I can, yeah, I can reset it. So now I get the sling strength and I must activate before my ulti. And there are the extra 50 and yeah. Should be more, should be 1400. Did I forget to buff something? I'll take the 1300. I normally get the 1410 damage increase. I don't know what I missed, but the damage should suffice. Yeah, I think that's different.
Life support capsule is now available. This will help our cause.
703 kills in around 5 minutes. For just Nullstar, that's pretty decent. And should only work really with Chroma and his Vex armor buff. Because if I remember correctly, the damage increase from the Vex armor only should work for weapons and not entirely for abilities or for abilities at all. But yeah, that was my Nullstar Banshee and Nullstar Chroma. I hope I could show you something new. Maybe you find some inspiration to give maybe Banshee or Chroma another spin, rather than they collect dust in the equipment storage. But yeah, thank you for listening, and yeah, take care.